Welcome to the Meeple Syrup Show. Designers discussing design. We're on episode 30. Magic word, Sam.
The magic word, that'd be please. Actually, it's all about, I was trying to be sort of weirdly creative about it, but we're interviewing Shari Spiro from Add Magic, hence the magic. And we're about a very specific game today, which is a word game, so magic word. Get it? Haha. Hey, oh, you're right, they weren't muted, but, you know, that's okay. What's up with you? How have you been? Cold?
That was very clever, Sen. Weeks of having weather that I would call not cold. We have gone to cold weather because it's Canada, and that kind of sucks. But, you know, that's what happens when you live up here. As for, you know, we can get into our games discussion. I have not been doing games lately. But I can tell you that what I have been doing with my nights is working with a company that just came out of stealth called Directive Games, based in Shanghai, and that's what I've been kind of spending a lot of my nights on lately. So I haven't had a lot of time to play, but I would like to know what Daryl's playing out there in like the middle of Spain at the current moment.
I wish I was playing more games, but to be honest, I've just not had the time. I was at the beach yesterday in Valencia, so talking about cold weather makes me happy because it is not cold here at all. Oh man, that feels good. But yeah, no, I'm in Valencia. I was just in Sevilla, in Toledo. And yeah, I don't know what a sweater is, and I'm not, but that's what I've been up to. But what about you? You've been playing some games?
Yeah, but the coolest thing about Valencia is that it's on the El Grande board. That's the coolest thing about Valencia.
Dude, I've been walking around an El Grande board. I honestly like. I went by an antique store and I saw a map and I was like, oh, that's El Grande, and I was like, no, that's where I am right now.
Valencia also has oranges, by the way, just saying. It's got to get in there.
Learn about games, you will learn about local produce on the Meeple Syrup Show. Games, yeah, I actually sat down and played real, honest-to-goodness games this week. Jesse and his wife, Alana, were over. Jesse, who co-hosted the last two shows with when Daryl was gone and Dylan was off on his little break. And Ellie, our good friend Ellie, and then Eric, Lalonde's wife, Michelle, came over, and we played a bunch of games. We played XCOM by another Canadian, Eric Lang, Fantasy Flight game. We played Stephen Glenn's Spike from R&R, which is really wonderful. Yeah, I know. Just as a weird apology to everybody, I think something's really weird with Google Hangouts tonight, so I apologize in advance for how choppy things are going to look. But the show must go on, haha. We also played designed by Jason Katarski and Phil Dubari, who are friends of the show. And then last but not least, the games that I played that day. Oh, Lanterns. Yeah, hey, Lanterns select winner. And we'll actually be talking about another Mensa Select winner today when we get our guests on air. But before that, I just wanted to chat with everybody a little bit about, you know, any design issues that are going on right now before we get into our guests. Dylan, I know you're designing more video game stuff right now, but is there anything cool that you figured out that you think you should share in terms of design?
Collaborating with people in multiple different cities is a really interesting experience. And also attempting to port design over to computer game design is a real interesting kind of experience, let me tell you. What you easy to do in a board game is super hard in a video game, and what you can find easy to do in a video game is super hard in a board game. So it's more than anything else, but that's cool in and of itself. What about you, Daryl? I want to hear, but like you've got to have 1,000 ideas going through your head as you're out there in the middle of these beautiful places.
Yeah, actually, I have been jotting around a lot of ideas, so I'm actually very excited about being back soon to prototype stuff because I try not to leave things in my head too long. I try to get it out into pieces, into cards, as fast as I can, but that's not really practical when I have to fit it in my suitcase. And my suitcase is already a place where when we buy things, then we have to choose what we're throwing out. So I am looking forward to prototyping. The other thing that was really exciting is the game that I've been working on with Jonathan Gilmore, which we're making a big party game on prisoners because I spent some time as a prison guard. I'm really excited about this game, and we just actually had a very productive chat where we, I think, cracked the code on a few things. So we're really looking forward to hopefully having that playable and at a good state at Origins. So we'll see.
Nice.
Yeah,
Good.
we'll see if that's it.
Making game babies with Jonathan.
My clone, or I'm his clone. I don't. It's gone meta now. When we replace
Orphan Blackish, that's a little bit weird.
But I think we need to get to our guests, especially because we keep freezing and stuff. So let's get something with our guests before our YouTube channel crashes. Sen, why don't you introduce our guests?
Peter Vaughan, who is here from Squirmy Beast. PR, yay! How are you, sir?
Good.
From Ad Magic, one of the powerhouses of the industry. Shari, how are you doing tonight?
Very powerful tonight.
Awesome. And I see you wearing one. So let's start the questions off with the whole title today is what's the magic word? You got it to you anyway, but because in this very timely moment, just a few weeks ago, the announcement was made that one of your co-publishers is a Mensa Select winner. How does that feel, Peter?
It feels
Yeah, woo-hoo.
so out there, hoping it would do. Kind of knowing we knew ourselves it was a good if it would reach like that. I was just thrilled.
Very cool. And I mean, how does it feel for you, Shari? You're also involved with this project.
Well, considering it was one of the first games that we actually published, we were pretty excited, and it's a great game. Peter never just gets that excited about anything. He came over and he said, "You've got to try this game." Tried it again, and I liked it right off the bat. I said to him, "Really like that?" And I said, "Yeah, that's it." He goes, "Oh my God."
Brad, we had a design night where we had 14 people come over and we were just alternating through games. I put his game at table number 1, and the 5 people who played it, they said, "Can we play again and again?" And that night, I was like, "Brad, do you have a publisher for this game?" I mean, it was just like that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Something.
Basically, like, if you were a stock market analyst and you'd made a good, everyone would come to you like the freaking Oracle of Delphi, and they'd say, "How do you pick them?" So I'm going to say, how do you pick them?
That's a good question. I do feel that I've seen a lot of games. I host a lot of game nights. I'm involved in meetup groups. I do my own design nights every other week. I'm in the League of Game Makers. We talk about games all day. It's fine because that's what I love to do. And I feel like I can now go to a design event and say, okay, no, yes, maybe. If we keep working on that one, it's getting there. I'm getting there. This one was just super simple, and yet compelling. It reaches what I want to do with my company, which is get that sweet spot, and this was it. So
excellent. And Shari, you also have kind of a really good eye for getting involved in projects that have a lot of pull in the industry. So not only is breaking games part of what you're doing, you also have Ad Magic, which is the kind of the more manufacturing side of things, and then you acquired Productions to do more of the rapid prototyping thing. So you have an eye for not only acquiring games, but also how to branch out in this industry. How do you do it? How do you bring that how do you find what's right for you?
That's an interesting question. I am kind of feeling my way along based on what my clients are telling me they need. And I'm listening really carefully to what people tell me. So I listen to what people say about other designers, and then companies. We have 3 companies now. It's crazy. And so the next step, the next logical step, seems to be just a natural, step forward. How do I do it? I don't know. It's a gut feeling. That's the only way I can explain.
It's magic. So we'll shout out to Ad Magic there. I got to jump on this though for Peter. You mentioned something that I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about, and that is the League of Game Makers. Can you tell us, and anyone who's watching our show, if they don't know about your website, they need to. So anything about League of Game Makers, what they're missing out on.
We started it last year at the beginning of 2014. It was sort of came up on Kickstarter, What the Food, and I was at a convention. I've done conventions for a while, but I was there as this is the first time I'm doing a convention where I'm trying to talk to people about my Kickstarter, which is hard. And I ran into other Kickstarter folk, and we just had this bonding, fish in a big pond, And one thing that struck me about Kickstarter is that everybody was full of awesome, helpful answers. You could email any project creator and say, well, how did you do this? And they would reply with, well, that's easy. I did this, this, and this. Or they'd give you an idea. And that spirit, that's what I wanted to capture. So I just reached out to the people I had met along the way and said, would you like to be in, and would you like to be in? Someone who, for the very first time I met Shari, actually, we met Kelsey and Mike Duminy, and Jeff Cornelius. They were doing Stones of Fate at the time. And I think for a while there I knew everyone, like I had met everyone, but now it's sort of branched out where there's folks that were brought in that I didn't know at first. But it just was, Luke said, hey, I think I can, Tom Jolly lives down the road, I think I can invite him, and we just said, yeah, let's do this thing. Let's put up a blog where we talk about design and publishing, and anything goes on game making.
It's honestly a wonderful site to be involved there. Start making comments. There's fantastic guest writers. There's fantastic regular writers. So I really want to encourage people there. But I know, Dylan, you got a question for Shari.
Well, I'm actually just kind of interested in bringing this over to the business side, because clearly there are these amalgamations of people such as the League of the Game Makers and, so from a self-interested, the Game Artisans of Canada, there are lots of groups of game designers coming together to make better games. And the fact is, Shari being an astute businesswoman, do you see the ability to use, or does it give you an advantage as a business person? Where do you see that kind of networking going in the games world, game design world?
That's a good question. I think it's helping already because, Peter's reached out to so many people. Peter, in the beginning, was first Kickstarter clients, and I loved his game. And after Kickstarter, that was when I realized that there was a need for a life after Kickstarter for a lot of these people. And so I see it going in the working with larger groups of designers. I do see that. The only thing I caution is, you don't want to have too many designers on one game, because in the end, you got lucky, there's 8 of them. They sell a lot of them and they make money, but if you had 8 designers on every game, it'd be kind of tough. To make anything in the end, but nobody shared anything. And then I came into the game industry, and everybody was like, "Oh, I got my dice from so and so," and I'm like, "You're telling me?" I couldn't believe it. People share information, and they share their game ideas, which is amazing to me. And nobody's really afraid because every game is so different. It may have similar mechanics, but it doesn't matter. They're going to make it their own. So I think the collaboration thing is going to continue. It's just going to get bigger.
Peter, you were originally the person who said, hey, Squirmy Beast is going to do letter, correct?
Right.
Why did you choose to bring it to Breaking Games to add magic and say, well, you want to get involved with this? What is the nature, the symbiotic nature of this whole thing for you?
Sure. Well, I mean, I had done the math. I had published with Shari before. We had a great relationship, so that was already a go. So she was one of my quotes for Letter Tycoon. I had quotes from everywhere else, and I'm crushing the numbers, and I realized, no offense to Letter Tycoon, but this is a word game, and Kickstarter, I mean, if you're going to do your research and you know what Kickstarter is going to fund well and not fund well, I looked at this word game and said, well, we could, Brad, I'm going to tell you we could scrape maybe 10K or something like that, and maybe your mom will have a copy. But what Shari said, take this to Toy Fair, I mean, that's where this game wants to go. You know, it was a perfect matchup. She's got the resources and the connection, and also the eye for games. And once with, you know, it's like from a fellow word lover, it's like, oh, if you're gonna, just the right partnership for this title. This possible. Yeah, we got a Zeppelin in the game, so.
That's awesome. Yeah, Zed. Curious, Shari, we were already talking about Toy Fair, and you actually released a bunch of games. There's Letter Tycoon. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we had at Toy Fair. We had all of the tables lined up, and each designer was able to give a 5-second pitch. So we had everything from Hogger Logger, Fun Employed, What the Food. We had the beginnings of Letter Tycoon, the first version of Letter Tycoon. We had, oh my God, we had Game of 49, Word Shuffle. I'm going to lose track. There's like a own little table and like a little stage for each of the designers to demo their games. It attracted a lot of attention at Toy Fair. We learned a lot from Toy Fair. Actually, I'm in today where I'm learning more strategies for retail from some of the biggest in the industry who are teaching me a lot. This is a fascinating industry, and so Toy Fair was just the beginning for us in retail, and we're gonna crack it, right, Peter?
Oh, I didn't know if Peter was going to respond there. What, are you allowed to let any of that out of the bag? Any tips?
Yes, sure. It's something I'd love to discuss. So, just about putting it in Target or putting it in Walmart. It's about marketing it correctly in every channel. So, you know, Letter Tycoon, we've got a real shot because it's a Mensa Select. People are contacting us from all over the world in different countries because Mensa has a big reach. So we want to put it out in several different ways. We want to sell it on Breaking Games. We want to sell it on Amazon. We want to sell it in the specialty market. And then maybe we want to do a little bit in the mass market, and we're going to concentrate also on selling it live at shows. So we're going to be in Germany, and we're going to be taking it to Australia and all the PAXs, Gen Con. We're going to Origin. We're going to Astra. We're going everywhere. Okay, and
Jonathan to be Daryl. We can clone. We can clone.
Figure out cloning, please. Tell me what I'm to do.
Yeah.
Well, with all this exposure to pitching and business, Peter, how are you? You know, I want to know how you kind of evolved. Tell me about Peter before Kickstarter, Peter after Kickstarter. How has the pitching improved? How have you changed because of this experience?
I have changed a lot. And I think the biggest change, we talk about this at the League all the time, which is designer, publisher. I'm going to reference Seth Jaffe here because developer should be in there as well. I saw him on your show talking about how hard that is. I thought I was designer, and I was like, that's all I'm doing, right? And then when you start a company and you go through Kickstarter and you actually go to the other side, every single day is working on that, still supporting that product and customers and thinking, and it creeps up on you. And when I was at Protospiel in last year in May in San Jose, I remember seeing this game on the Boomtown Bandit. And I looked at it, it was gorgeous, and I said, "Do you have a publisher?" And those words just like came out, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm here to take this game, not to put my own game on the table." So it's kind of funny how that happens. I'm still in the summer denial because daily at lunch I will usually play a game and then come up with a design concept and probably even flesh it out over the weekend with prototypes and whatnot, and then I'll be like, I'll get to that later. But
It happens. I think you get bitten by a bug. When we were talking to Randy Hoyt a couple weeks ago about basically the same thing, is, why'd you make the jump from being a designer to being a publisher? He just answered that he loved it. He got bitten by the publishing bug and really enjoyed taking somebody else's product and elevating that as where it deserved to be, he felt. Shari, so in your opinion, when you're thinking about the games that you like, bringing it back to the whole title, why word games? Games are notoriously hard to get out there from all intents and purposes that we've ever heard. From Mattel and from Hasbro, they tell us, word games are difficult. But you've chosen to actually specialize a little bit in that area. Why is
I like word games. It's word up on the board at lunchtime, and whoever could make the most words in 25 minutes would get a prize or get a free lunch, and I would win a lot, and I liked it, so I got addicted to it. Now the reason I like the word games is because so many people don't spell. It hates me, so I think that's part of it. I think the other part, I don't know why I care, but yeah, I do like it when people can spell. But you do have spell check, so it's okay. But I like it, and I have a 12-year-old, and we played till she became a very early reader. So I don't know. She came up with this term kidcabulary when she was about 4 years old, and I trademarked it. And I feel like I have to live up to that term and get the word games on that kidcabulary trademark eventually. So who knows?
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're on a mission, right?
Definitely. And I think, a lot of the games that we've shown you as well, Shari, have been in that kind of word edutainment kind of area where it's words and letters and it's entertaining but potentially educational as well in the terms of spelling and grammar and whatnot. So hopefully, I love word games as well. I think I play as much Word with Friends as I do Star Realms on my iPhone and things like that. So I play a lot of other word games like Word Welder and Scramble, and I'm looking at my phone here and seeing just all the word games that I play. It's something that I love to manipulate letters, and so I get it. It just seems like a really hard market to crack. Peter, what about you in terms of market games? Why was Letter Tycoon something you thought you'd stick your neck out on? Copy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm passionate about. First, I was passionate about Brad, and I still am. I mean, it's like he's in the league, and he's a good friend, and he's helped me with tons of my design. And it was like I want his name on a box, and we were going to do it for that reason. Granted, he has other design ideas, and this was kind of a small one. It was kind of a funny thing that he said, "Geez, my car ride, passing thought became the thing, right?" But as I've sort of decided where the complexity level I want the company to be at is diagram on the site at some point where it's like a water line, and there's people in a boat, and the party games are up where the seagulls are. And the deep monsters are like the heavy things, like the 8-hour block dimensions. And I want Squirmy Beast to be at the water line where you can dip down under and maybe scuba dive and snorkel, or you can kind of hop up back in the boat and enjoy like a family game. But we're not going to bring you, I'm not going to do the deep ones. I'll let somebody else do that. And I'm games because, well, What the Food is borderline up there. But I don't know. It just Ladder Tycoon seemed like. I got dug in, and this funny thing is, Vigur over this. Like, I don't get it. Like, what are you getting out of this? It's not your game, and I don't know. It became my game, though. That's the thing. We've
been chatting a little bit back and forth, Dylan and I, with finding the videos. I'm not sure why, but kind of look boom. Was canceled tonight because of the YouTube choppiness, and Nerd Nighters they lost a lot of viewers, and it was really well. So we're thinking maybe YouTube is doing an update or something, and it's causing some connection issues. And say, Peter and Shari, is there a chance that we could actually have you back on the show? I don't exactly call this episode just because some people are saying like we're missing out on a really important and great conversation and a celebration of some great news. So would it be all right, Peter and Shari, if we had you on the show in the future?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Dylan, maybe we can do not a live feed. Maybe we can do like.
So then that way we can actually our origins into this time slot, and then people in the
history
tragedy loop time our own show.
So origins, people will know about this timeline.
Yeah.
Discussion, and it's been wonderful speaking to you. It's really too bad.
You can what you could do is a copy of the game and the expansion, and what we'll do is show, but we'll give one.
Let's say someone has to tweet us and Squirmy and tweet both Meeple Syrup and Squirmy Beast. We'll pick a random winner.
Was Ad Magic was the manufacturer on that, Shari?
Absolutely.
Or
Yes.
yeah.
That's how I.
That's right.
You need all three.
This is a big connection. With their their favorite Canadian food.
There you go.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Is Canadian bacon really Canadian? I just wanted to. I've always wanted to know.
Yes. It is totally.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's a Toronto. It's a Toronto.
It is. Okay. I really like Canadian bacon. So.
Toronto.
Well, that's good.